Today we're going to talk about what a lot of people might think is impossible, is investing with $100. Yep, just $100. You don't need thousands of dollars. You don't even need a finance degree to start investing. I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide, and I'm actually going to give you a live demo as well to show you how to do it. First of all, let's clear some things up. Investing is not about picking the next Tesla. Investing is about building wealth over time. Picking an amount you can afford, even if it's just $100, and continually investing on a regular basis to build wealth. The goal is not to get rich tomorrow. The goal is to learn and grow and build wealth that will pay off for you for the rest of your life. Now keep in mind, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so this video is for educational purposes only. So investing platforms have changed a lot over the years. When I first started investing, you could only really invest through the big banks or big brokerage firms, which charge you really high brokerage fees. Absolute rip-off artists. Now, through the availability of apps, including micro investing apps, it's much more accessible to everybody. Apps like Superhero, Moomoo, eToro, Webull, and Tiger Brokers are much more user-friendly and take out all the complex stuff from investing. And you can invest in these apps with as little as $5 to $10. And I'll talk to you in a minute about why investing $10 is not a good idea. So each of the apps I just mentioned charge you a different brokerage fee per order and have a different minimum order quantity. I'll put a bit of a summary up on the screen. Please note these do change regularly. However, the distinguishing feature between these apps are that some are called chest-sponsored brokers and some are non-chest-sponsored brokers. Very simply, if it's a chest-sponsored broker, it means that the shares are legally in your name. Under these brokers, when you're buying Australian shares, your first order needs to be a minimum of $500. And then after that minimum order, you can buy more of the same stock in smaller quantities after that. For the non-chest sponsored brokers, this means these shares are held on trust for you. They are not legally in your name. However, because of this, you can buy much smaller order quantities in these kind of brokers. So which is better between chest sponsored and non-chest sponsored? I have one of each, and I flip-flop between the two depending on what specials they have on brokerage fees at the time. Now for Superhero and eToro that allow a minimum $10 for your first share purchase, I'm going to explain to you why this is not a good idea. They normally have a minimum brokerage fee, which is around $2. So if you buy a share for $10 and you get charged a $2 brokerage fee, your cost for that share is actually $12. And the share price needs to increase 20% in value before you make that money back. That's why I think when you're starting out, $100 is a better value to use because you're spreading that brokerage fee over more shares that you're purchasing. So it takes you less time to recover that initial fee. And the great thing about most of these apps is that they allow fractional share purchases. So what this means is, currently the share price of Apple, as an example, is $213 US. If you don't quite have enough money to buy one share of Apple, these apps allow you to buy a fractional share, which can be really good in helping you get into the market. Another great feature of these apps is that they allow you to buy what are called ETFs or exchange traded funds. So if you're a beginner investor and you're not sure what you really want to buy, what you can do is buy a share in a company that tracks the market as a whole. So you can buy ETFs that track the United States stock market as a whole, or you can buy ETFs that track the Australian stock market. And these are really good for beginner investors while you're learning the ropes. Because as an example, over the last 100 years, the Australian share market has returned an average of 13% per year. Let's now walk through a live example of buying a share. Now you can do this on your phone. I'm going to do it on the computer because it'll be a bit easier for me. Now I'm going to use Superhero. You can use any app you like. I'm not making any recommendation to use Superhero. It's not sponsored in this video, but I do use Superhero and I do find it quite easy to use. So we'll use that for our example. So the first step is logging in and creating an account. So the information that you'll need is your name and address, email address, phone number, and it's also handy to have your tax file number. So once you've set up an account, log in. Once you've logged in, you'll need to put some money in your account. So go to Wallet and then select Deposit. And it'll give you different options on how to deposit money. You can use a Pay ID. It'll give you a unique Pay ID. You can use a direct deposit, or you can use BPay. So let's deposit $100 into our account. Okay, we now got $100 in our account ready to go. So buying stocks is actually really easy. You go back to the dashboard and then you search the stock you want. So I'm gonna buy a stock that tracks the Australian top 200 companies. Again, this is not a financial recommendation. Just for this demonstration, that's what I'm gonna buy. So one example of that is what's called IOZ, which is the core S&P ASX top 200 companies. Okay, so this will give you a bit of a share price. So then you go over to a section over here that's called buy, and there are two types of order you can do. A market order will automatically match you with someone else in the market. That means your order will go through straight away, however, you may pay a little bit of a higher price for it. The alternative is a limit order, which means you're telling Superhero, I don't want you to pay more than $34.81, for example, for this stock. So you set the price limit. It might mean that it takes a little bit longer for your order to actually complete, but they're the two types of orders that you can do. So for this example, we'll do a limit order, and for amount to invest, I'll type in $106.25. So for the price limit I've set, it's saying I can buy 3 units of stock at $34.81 each, and I'll be charged a $2 brokerage fee. Now, if you remember back to earlier in the video, this $2 will be spread across those 3 shares. Again, the more you can buy at any one time, the better, but at least $100 is a good place to start. And then you click Confirm Buy Order, and then you'll receive a confirmation from Superhero once your shares are actually purchased, and then you're in the game. Now, some common mistakes to try and avoid. There's an age-old saying that time in the market beats timing the market. There's a statistic that 80% of professional investors cannot beat the performance of the market as a whole. So one possible strategy for beginner investors is, instead of trying to timing the market, adopt an approach called dollar cost averaging. What that means is you decide on a sum of money that you can regularly invest, and you decide what that amount is, and you regularly invest that in the stock market on regular intervals. And what will happen is sometimes you'll buy high, sometimes you buy low, and what will happen is you'll buy fewer shares naturally when the price is high, and you'll buy more shares naturally when the prices are low, and get about an average price for the shares. And I would avoid chasing meme stocks and expecting overnight success. It's actually not that hard to get rich slowly. Set up a plan for yourself to invest a reasonable sum of money on a regular basis for the rest of your life, and you'll be surprised with the returns that you actually get. Remember, this first $100 is just planting the seed. It's not time to harvest the fruit just yet. So there you have it, your first $100 investing. If you were able to do this, if this is something you tried for the first time, let me know in the comments below. It's not about the amount, it's about developing positive habits and a positive mindset. If I gave you some value, all I would ask is that you give the video a like. It really helps push my video out to other viewers. If you want to see more content from me, consider subscribing and joining the community. Thanks for stopping in. See you in the next video.